Hi. Sorry this video's going to not have me in it. It'll just be a still image and then my opponent's arguments for my entire series. Sorry about that, I just was not able to get a background for myself so that I could film myself actually doing it and making the video. So sorry for the inconvenience. But I'm going against this guy, don't know his name, and he's quite funny. Can't wait. Alright, let's do this.
So there we go.
Oh, whew. I thought we had a dud. I was worried that I was gonna have to throw this video out, start all over, make a new one. Lucky me, I get to listen to your arguments for an hour. Woohoo!
Reports a percentage of American adults claiming to be Christian has dropped from 89% in 1989 to 78% in 2009.
Close. Almost there. Okay? I'll give you that. And it's probably going to be the only victory you can take, so hold on to it.
So what we're seeing is a slow, gradual, but a drop nonetheless of practicing Christians, individuals who name the name of Christ here in the United States. And then in 2014, we see that the number was a little over just 70%. And so the church is not growing. The church is actually getting less and less as time goes on. While church attendance is strong, the people inside have less and less influence over education, over law, and especially culture.
And why is that a bad thing? In my opinion, it's good. We shouldn't have, at least religion shouldn't have, that much control over stuff. It's ended in bad things in the past, such as the Crusades and other stuff like that. And I do think that religion does have a strong hold on culture. That's why 70% of Americans are Christian.
We've seen that in the last 8 years or so. And unless the tide turns, America will be as secular as Britain. Some have said that Britain will be a Muslim nation by, well, in 20 years' time, approximately 20 to 25 years' time, England will be a Muslim.
I looked around on the internet to find out if what you're saying held any weight. I'm pretty lazy, so I didn't look that far, but you kind of have a point. I've heard people say that in 50 years it might be a Muslim majority, but not a Muslim nation in 25 years.
A Muslim nation. And then we can see the wholesale destruction of castles, cathedrals, and churches, because they will not tolerate those kinds of structures. So we see that there's a massive increase in secular thought or non-Christian thought, both here in America but throughout the world. And today, over 23%, or just a little less than 1 person out of 4 here in the United States has a secular worldview, as Chris was talking about. So about 25%, maybe a little less, have a purely atheistic or agnostic worldview.
Who's Chris?
In the slide there just earlier, 1 Peter 3:15 is a verse that I use a lot when I do speaking. It says, "But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you." That is, have an apologia, have an apologetic. Know why you believe, what you believe, not only when it comes to your origin, but also your destiny as well. Know why you believe, what you believe. That's what my wife Jan and I have been teaching our 4 children who are now grown and out of the house. This is something else that we like to emphasize in creation science circles, and that is Christians need to identify where science leaves off and philosophy begins. And you know, you would be able to answer a lot of questions and have that apple.
Why do they need to do that? Seriously, why do they need to do that? Is it because you know that science does not support the conclusions made by them? and thus they have to pick up where science leaves off, or whatever, because you know that science can't help them? Is that why?
Yeah, that apologetic, if you only understand where science leaves off, in other words, what we can observe and test and repeat, and then see where philosophy begins, a philosophical construct that is so prevalent in secular evolutionary teaching. Well, that brings us to the definition of science, which is a systematic study of phenomena based on experimental investigation, including observation. Did you know about 70% of what we call empirical science is nothing more than sitting down and observing a process or a phenomena? And then, of course,
Testing it, right? Forming a hypothesis, and then repeating your tests, right?
testability and repeating is important as well. So this is what we call empirical science. Are creationists opposed to empirical science? Not at all.
So it's fine to teach evolution in schools. The Earth is older than 6,000 years, or are you just not opposed to nitpicking what parts of science fit your religious belief and throwing the rest out? If it's the latter, then I cannot respect what you are saying.
We embrace science. We love science and various creation science outlets.
Oh, creation science. So, I was correct in my assumption that you nitpick the science you like and throw the rest out. Dang it, thought I could find an honest one this time. I mean, I have debunked an article, not made a video about it, just debunked it. And they were rather dishonest, but I thought maybe you would be honest.
The accusation is made by the secular community that those Christians are creationists. They hate science. And as the old tired saying goes, nothing could be further from the truth. The speakers that you'll hear this weekend all have advanced degrees in science from secular institutions. I got my undergraduate degree in biology from a secular institution. I got my master's in zoology from a secular institution. And then I did my research in graduate school and got it published in a secular scientific publication. And then
Nice credentials. I mean, they're not great, but at least there's something.
And then on top of that, I taught for 9 years in pre-med biology at Pensacola Christian College, where we taught scientific principles. So to make the unfounded accusation that somehow we are unscientific is certainly wrong. Now, we are against this theory that says that we came from a fish. We are against a theory called macroevolution.
There is no theory called macroevolution. It is called the theory of evolution. Come on, I'm getting bored. Make some claims, please. Make a point. Just do something that will get me out of my misery. I'm dying of boredom here.
But that's a far, far cry from science, which is what we can observe and test and repeat.
Finally, some claims. We've observed, tested, and repeated microevolution. You accept it as science. Macroevolution is just microevolution repeated over millions of years to suit the environment. Enough said. But if you really want to get into it, quote-unquote macroevolution has been observed, just not in the way you want it to be. You want us to see a duck walk past, then you look back, and that duck has just turned into a chicken. That is not possible. However, we have observed it through the fossil record and DNA evidence. That is why it is a theory.
Observed, tested, or repeating how we came from bacteria or how we came from a fish over the ethereal millions and millions of years of time. So we like science. We embrace science. Science and the Bible, folks, go together beautifully. They go together like butter and bread.
No, and you also just stated that you're a young Earth creationist. Basically, at least. That's my inference from it, because you said that the millions of years over which evolution takes place are ethereal. Now I can expect some fun arguments about the age of the Earth and the universe. Woohoo! You're going to have to bring that up later, because you said that the millions of years over which evolution takes place are ethereal, as you put it. I just find your pronunciation funny, that's why I repeated myself. But, yeah, you're trapped now. And you say that you only oppose macroevolution, but now you also oppose the age of the Earth. And I cannot wait to find out what other science you oppose. Oh, this will be good.
Dovetail together perfectly like politics and corruption.
No.
Corruption. And so we enjoy science very much. And as it said back in 1958, a two-time Nobel Prize winner said that science is a search for truth, the effort to understand the world. Do we agree with that? Absolutely, yes, yes. We agree that science is a search for truth. Back when I was in high school in I was taught that science is
19 when? You kinda coughed over that, but whatever, it's not important. I'm not a patient man. Could you please make another point? I'm getting bored again. You're so boring. I want somebody who actually makes claim after claim after claim after claim so that I can actually shoot them down, shoot them down, shoot them down, shoot them down. So far, I haven't had much of that to do, so pick up the pace, please. I am dying.
okay? And we have no problem with that. But in today's 21st century, where there's a lot of cynicism involved, a lot of people say, well, the truth is relative, or the truth is subjective, or hey, man, what's true for you may not be true for me. Others say that the truth is unknowable, and there's even some that say there is no truth.
Well, I agree. That is stupid. I heard someone say, and I quote, "If it rings true, it is true." And that just isn't true. The truth is objective, and that's true.
But what would a creation scientist say to all that?
What would an open-minded skeptical person say to that?
Well, we go back to the book of absolutes, the book of historical accuracy called the Bible. Of historical accuracy called the Bible, as Chris has said. And we read in the Bible where Jesus saith unto them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And that no one comes to the Father except by me. And so what we do in creation science circles is to think God's thoughts after him and understand there is truth, and Jesus Christ is the truth. He is the creator. And since he's the creator, we would say that all science is creation science. Boy, that makes a lot.
No, you said it yourself. Science is the search for the truth, not the truth. Also, science points away from the creation you believe in. So, no, not all science is creation science.
People upset. All science is creation science, and all truth is God's truth. And that, as you see here, science is the search for truth.
Exactly. Science is a search for the truth, not the truth. Now you're getting it.
And finally, number 4, Jesus is the truth. Jesus is the truth. So all science is creation science, all truth is God's truth. Science is the search for truth, and Jesus is the truth.
Right. And that's why there's no hard evidence that he ever existed. And we have a problem. For your claims to be true, science's goal would have to be finding Jesus, right? But it's not, is it? And you must know this. I mean, you said you didn't agree with all of science. And if all of science was creation science, you would agree with all of it, wouldn't you?
Truth. So we love to do science, and guess what? There were great Bible-believing scientists in the past like Newton, Kepler, Boyle, Maxwell, Faraday, George Washington Carver, Louis Pasteur. All of these individuals believed that in the beginning God created, and they also did what? Science. And they made very significant scientific discoveries, didn't they?
Wait, quick question. Are you claiming that people believe that there can be no Christian scientists?
Amazing scientific discoveries, and they honored God.
I just skipped him saying that you have to change science to fit the Bible, and I had no comment except the word no.
Well, one example would be that the evolutionists laughed at us when we said there was a worldwide flood, and that there was no evidence, supposedly, for a worldwide flood, and the Bible is wrong. Until a book was published called Oceanography in 2013. And the secular author out of La Jolla, California, who is a dyed-in-the-wool atheist, said that this planet was covered with water for 200 million years.
When you started talking about this book, I was prepared to look it up and read it. Then you finished talking, and I changed my mind. You did my work for me, and you debunked your own claim. Now, this video is very long, and I'm very bored. Please make a claim and try to defend it. Just try. Don't ruin it the second you start talking after you make your point. Because, sure, that's funny, but I get bored because you're doing my work for me, and I'm just sitting here in the lawn chair sipping lemonade watching you do my work.
All we're asking for is 1 year. The evolutionists gave us 200 million. Thank you very much. And I have that quote in one of my presentations in regard to geology and the Genesis flood. So that's one example. All you had to do is sit tight and wait, because the Bible taught that the world was covered with water. And it's the secular evolutionists that have come up and finally agreed with what the Bible taught all along.
You realize if this is the truth, then your flood thing is ruined, because Noah would have to live for 200 million years on the ark with all the other animals and people aboard it, and they would have to all survive for the entire 200 million years and then get off when little tiny bit of land started resurfacing. Or not resurfacing, actually just surfacing. But I'm very confused. How does this help you? It really just ruins all of your claims about the flood and Noah's Ark. So, what are you getting at with this?
Here's another example. Up until about 50 years ago, 45 years ago, geologists were absolutely locked into the Uniformitarian philosophy that says that slow, gradual geologic processes spanning millions and millions of years of time is the only way to interpret the history of the Earth.
I linked a Wikipedia article about this in the description, but all I will say is not a philosophy. If you want to learn more, just read the Wikipedia article and maybe do a little more research on it. I could not be bothered to.
Particularly the geologic history. And that any idea of any kind of catastrophe was frowned upon by the Uniformitarian geologists, until the Alvarez team, Alvarez Sr. and his son, looked at the Yucatan Peninsula there in the Mexican area and decided that there was a giant asteroid that struck the Yucatan Peninsula 65 million years ago.
You don't provide any of your sources in the description of this video for what you're saying. And you say you have sources, and sometimes you show them, but you don't actually show the source. Sometimes you'll show the slide in the video so I can look up the source. But normally I just have to look up the basics of the keywords of what you're saying and find a source for myself to use. But yes, this is the prevailing scientific theory. Theory means so far proven, nothing really conflicts with it. I think you need to fix your definition of theory.
The demise or the extinction of the dinosaurs, which, by the way, was a very selective extinction, wasn't it? Didn't cause the extinction of anything else, just those pesky dinosaurs. But what were they saying? They were talking about a worldwide catastrophe. When the asteroid struck that Yucatan Peninsula, allegedly 65 million years ago, that just absolutely covered the Earth in some kind of massive cloud, this nuclear winter scenario, was that a worldwide catastrophe? Shake your head like this. It certainly was. What does the Bible teach in Genesis chapter 6 through Genesis chapter 8?
Let me guess. A worldwide catastrophe not involving an asteroid. Happy?
A worldwide catastrophe. A flood, right? And it was a catastrophic flood. So again, for the second example, the evolutionists finally have caught up with what the Bible taught all along. There was a worldwide catastrophe. And by the way,
but not a flood, right? You continue to state the science backs up a worldwide flood. Then you give two examples that do not prove that. In fact, they disprove what you're trying to say, and yet you continue to repeat yourself and act like that proves it. That doesn't work. It's not an argument, okay? Alright, that's it for this time. I can't deal with this guy anymore. But be sure to subscribe and tune in next time for part 2. Hopefully he'll actually make some claims in that video, make some good solid points, and try to defend them, I mean. And if he fails to defend them, that'll be funny and fine with me. I just want to see him try to defend them. Because so far he's just set himself up and then made himself fail. So it's been kind of angering and upsetting. Whatever. And it's kind of boring currently. So, see you next time. And in next time, we will give him a name. Assign him a name at some point. Because he won't tell us his name and I'm wanting to call him something. So at some point in the next video, I should come up with a name for him because he won't give me one. And if he does decide to give me a name next time, that'll be awesome. By the way, just a little note, I do not watch these videos before writing the script. I write the script as I play clip by clip, then I write the timestamps and everything, then I do the screen recording afterwards, then I do the audio recording after that, and there's a lot of ad-libbing and improvising in the audio. Some stuff gets changed in the script, and so, yeah, I'm not going to provide manuscripts for the videos because I change way too much. But I do not write the video